What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host, Vernon. This is Red River. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, a couple weeks back I did a video where I broke my carp rod, and that was here at the Crouchaine Bridge. And one of the comments in that video grabbed my attention. Now, I don't remember the exact words, but this was something like, how do you get the fish out there at Crouchaine Bridge? I haven't caught anything out there. From this comment, I kind of got the idea that this is someone that's tried out here a couple of times and never caught any fish out here. So I wanted to make my way out here, do some fishing, see if it's really that hard to get on some fish. Now, the idea with this video is kind of show you that we need to remember that it is fishing, it's not catching. It's not always that easy to get fish. So I'm going to take you through what's happening out there today. So let's get to the fishing. So it's taken quite a lot of hours, quite a lot of baits, quite a lot of trying. Finally I have a fish on. This fish is taking out quite a lot of line. We are using 20-pound test line. We don't want to force this fish in too much. Also just want to try and keep him away from the shallow part. You know, there's a bit of a snag that way. This little net I have here in the water, that's the net with my bait fish. Just need to grab the other net so we can try and land this fish. Quite a lot of hours spent trying to find a way to find the fish, seeing the fish around. This is not on our little bait fish, little channel catfish. Quite a big fight for this little guy. Lots of energy in this catfish. Put up quite a decent fight for his size. Still not a bad catfish though. So even though I was hoping to get fish on the little bait fish out there, we did get a fish, but not on the bait fish. This was on a piece of night crawler. And this was when the baits hit the water next to the wall there. Immediately got this little guy to go for it. Of course, there are bigger catfish in the Red River than this. This is a good catch after a long day of waiting around trying to get fish. Now we're not going to get a weight or length measurement on this guy. We're just going to get him back to the water. Strong kick, and off he goes. So we got one small catfish from that area and a few bites. Seeing quite a lot of fish jumping in this area. Finally got a fish from here as well. Just going to rebait, try again. Alright, so we're at the Crouchaine Bridge here on the Red River. I wanted to catch a fish before I talk to you guys, because there's one thing I want you to understand, and that is that you're not always going to get fish. Now, I do quite a lot of fishing, and there are a lot of times that I don't get fish out there. Now, some days the fishing will be good, some days the fishing will be bad, and other days the fishing are somewhere in between. Every day is different. Fish aren't necessarily in one particular spot. They're moving up and down the river. So just because someone's catching a specific fish out here today does not mean they will be here tomorrow. That means if you get skunked out here today, if you come tomorrow, there might be some different fish in the area. But the one important thing we as anglers need to be doing, I know there is this thing where you don't plan for failure. Making a backup plan is planning for failure. People don't want to be doing that. I'm not talking about planning for failure. I'm talking about being able to adapt to your circumstances. Now, I got out here this morning at 8 o'clock, and it took until 11 to get that one small little fish, and by 12 p.m. we got a bigger catfish. Quite a lot has happened in this area in that time, and I tried out a few different things to get on fish. Now, in all of that time, couple of hours out there, I'm only cherry picking a few moments to put in the video. We're not going to put everything in the video because it is quite boring. But early this morning, I threw around some lures to see whether there's any walleye or pike or anything actively chasing fish. So I threw quite a lot of lures around, different types of lures to try and find fish. After a while of not having any hits, I swapped over to a different setup. This is just a little Carolina rig, and I put on some night crawlers, and I got that out into the water to see whether we have any fish actively feeding on night crawlers. And I happened to get a few little hits, some smaller fish stealing my baits, and that told me that at least the night crawlers might get some action out there. Now, when I got here this morning, it was very calm, very flat. The wind wasn't blowing around or anything, and I could not see any bait fish in this area. But after a few hours of soaking the baits, all of a sudden, these little bait fish showed up everywhere, especially around this little point. So I grabbed my net and scooped up a few of these little bait fish, and that's what I've been using out there, for the simple fact that I've been thinking this time of the year is typically when the bait fish are schooling around and when the big predatory fish start chasing them. Now, so far I've seen quite a lot of fish. I've seen some walleye, seen a pike, Even saw something that looked like a buffalo, and quite a lot of goldeye, all sorts of things feeding on the little bait fish. That's why I wanted to get some bait fish out there to see if I can get anything. Now first I had a little bottom rig, something like a drop shot rig, where I had it down on the bottom, had the little bait fish out there. They kept getting stolen, but I didn't have anything go for the hooks. I then swapped over to using a little bobber rig, just to suspend it and wait to see if I can see my little bobber go down. I used that out there, didn't get any hits. I even then tried for the goldeye that I'm seeing, threw out a little bobber with night crawlers out there to see if we could get some of the goldeye, and no luck. So the point I'm trying to make is I had to try out a bunch of different things to try and figure out how to get the fish out there. Now, a lot of times it's easy, you just throw out some night crawlers and you might get on some fish. But sometimes, especially this time of year with all of the bait fish around, a lot of the fish don't worry about any other food. They're only focusing on these little bait fish. That is why I wanted to use the bait fish out there today. And so far, we haven't got anything on that. So I would just like to explain that even though I do show quite a lot of videos of me catching fish, there are also the struggles. That is why it's called fishing and not catching. You have to struggle, you have to learn, you have to try a few different things. Now, just because I haven't had any luck on the bait fish so far does not mean we won't be able to get anything on that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to rebait, try and get it in different spots to see if we can get any of these fish that every once in a while would chase some of the bait fish around. We're trying to get some of them. So no promises, but let's hope we get something out there. This is a little bullhead, little black bullhead. Alright, ladies and gents, I was hoping for some fish out there today, and we luckily got on some fish. Now, I'll be quite honest, I thought maybe getting some walleye or something using the bait fish. But no, all in all, the only thing I got on the bait fish out there today were a bunch of bullhead catfish. Using these little bait fish on a small hook under a bobber, got quite a lot of bullhead catfish out there today. Now, luckily that wasn't the only fish. There were a few little channel catfish and one decent catfish at least. And that after a morning session that looked promising, but I did not get any fish. Now, I think at the moment we have a bunch of little catfish in the area, but soon the other fish will learn about this spot and move in, and you can catch different fish, but for now, a bunch of bullhead. And the point for this video was showing you that it's not as easy as just getting out there. You're guaranteed to get fish. It is a struggle. I've been doing this now for 6 years, so I should be able to, in most places, at least get a fish. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to get success out there, try and find what fish are willing to feed and target those fish. If I'd only tried for some walleye today, it would have been a completely different day, not as many fish. Rather than forcing my will, I would rather listen to the fish and listen to what fish are feeding at the moment and catch them. That is the trick. It's not always going to be the exact same fish feeding. You have to figure out what fish are willing to feed, and if you're lucky, you might get on some fish. But the key thing is to try something different. Don't always do the exact same thing over and over expecting results. Try something different, see what works. Alright, but I hope that gives some clarity on the matter. I don't have some magic power to get fish. It is really just try and try till you get on the fish. And I hope for that, at least give me a little thumbs up. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider hitting subscribe, joining my community. Alright guys, but that's going to do for this video. Thank you for watching. Like always, see you next time.